Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for joining me for what is my Savage Zombie horror movie news number 6. And we've got a lot to talk about, so I am literally just going to dive into our first story, which you can see right here. And apparently, David Gordon Green has now left the Exorcist project. I have to be honest, this doesn't really come as much of a surprise because I think Universal were probably expecting their Exorcist movie, The Exorcist Believer, to be a bigger hit than what it was and probably get a bit more love from the critics than what it did and from the fan base as well, which, God, they ripped apart this movie. They absolutely hated it. And I didn't. If you guys have already seen my review, I thought the film at best was okay. I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was great. But I am coming from a place where I'm not like the biggest Exorcist fan. I love the movie, don't get me wrong, I do. And like you guys already know, or if you don't know, Exorcist 3 is one of my favourite horror movies, period, ever. But I'm not like a die-hard Exorcist fan. It's not like something I will watch every year or anything like that. So I could take the new one like with a pinch of salt. I could watch it for what it was and enjoy moments of it. And overall thought it was okay, but I completely understand why fans absolutely shit all over it. I really do. So I've got a bit of a story up here. It says, while The Exorcist Believer pulled in decent box office numbers, almost $140 million worldwide on a $30 million budget. That's actually not too bad, but I'm sure they would have been expecting more. I really do. The film was universally panned by both fans and critics, leading writer-director David Gordon Green to rethink his involvement in the next 2 films in the trilogy. This and his involvement in the other projects ultimately resulted in him leaving as director, and now the original 18th of April 2025 theatrical release has been removed from the studio's schedule entirely. Now, they spent an awful lot of money getting the rights to The Exorcist, so I do think there is going to be another one. Whether it's going to tie in to The Exorcist Believer or it's still going to be called The Exorcist Deceiver, I think the sequel was going to be called. I don't know. They could pretty much restart this again if they wanted to. There's definitely going to be another one. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. They spent far too much money to get the rights to this. And it can be done right. There can be a really great Exorcist movie. There can be. It all depends on who they're going to get on board for this. If I was Universal, I would go for Scott Derrickson. He would be my first port of call because I think the guy is immensely talented. I've enjoyed pretty much nearly everything he's done. I really enjoyed The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And I think his sensibilities in that movie and his direction and what he did with that, because that film is brilliant, by the way. I really like it. I think would lead itself well to an Exorcist movie. So he would be my first port of call. Failing that, I don't know. I mean, maybe Mike Flanagan? Maybe. I think would be a good shout. But yeah, there'll definitely be another one. But if I was going to have a guess, guys, I would say it's probably going to restart it. It will be its own thing. It won't follow on from Believer. But hey, we'll wait and see. I'm sure there'll be more news coming up in the next few months. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and get this sorted quickly. So we'll wait and see. That's going to be interesting. So next up, and this is what I'm excited about the most. We finally could be getting another movie in the 28 Days Later series, which is going to be called, a lot of people thought it would have been called 28 Months Later, which makes sense because obviously the first one, 28 days, second one, 28 weeks, obviously the third one to be 28 months. But apparently not, because there has been a lot of time has passed since we had 20 Weeks Later. I think that came out in like 2007. I remember going to the cinema to watch that. Loved it. Anyway, looks like this movie is going to be called 28 Years Later. Now, there's been so much talk about a sequel to these movies for years and years and years. And I have to be honest with you, I gave up hope. I never thought it was going to happen. And then a few months back, there was little rumblings that maybe, I think I did a video on it actually, that maybe something could be happening. Well, now it has picked up steam over the past week. And I pray this happens. I really do. So, it's got here, this project is officially back from the dead and now in development as a possible new trilogy of films. Previous director Danny Boyle returns to helm with Alex Garland also back as writer. Oh, please, man, please. At the moment, Danny is only directing the first installment in the potential trilogy, while Alex will be writing all 3 films, which are budgeted to be at an estimated $75 million each. This project is reportedly going out to studio streamers and other potential buyers later this week. Okay. Oh, it's got to go into cinemas, surely. I mean, I wouldn't be too disappointed if it was streaming because I can just stay home and watch it, that's fine. But you've got to see this on the big screen, surely. I mean, I watched 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later at the cinema, and they were 2 of the best cinema experiences I have ever had, ever. So it has to be at the cinema. I hope it is, overall. I really do hope it is. But, yeah, to see the names of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland attached to this as well just makes me even more excited. But even so, I don't think, and this is just off the top of my head, but I don't think they had anything to do with 28 Weeks Later, did they? I don't think Danny Boyle did. Whether Alex Garland wrote that as well, I don't know. Like, I should have looked it up really before talking about it. But 28 Weeks Later is actually my favourite one of the 2. I love them both. When I'm saying that, I mean they're like this. All right, but I don't know. I just prefer 28 Weeks Later a little bit more. Probably because there's probably a bit more action involved in that one. But, oh man, I hope this happens. But there's something else here from actor Cillian Murphy. So I'll just read this out. Is it Cillian or Cillian Murphy? I don't know. Anyway, don't matter. Whatever. He revealed in an interview that he'd be happy to return if Garland and Boyle are involved, saying, I was talking to Danny Boyle recently and I said, Danny, we shot the movie at the end of 2000. So I think we are definitely approaching the 28 years later. But like I've always said, I'm up for it. I'd love to do it. If Alex thinks there's a script in it and Danny wants to do it, I'd love to do it. Would they have you back? That's the thing. I mean, would you have that character back? Me personally, no. I would probably like to see new characters in this new 28 Years Later movie. But if they have him back and there's a good script there and he suits the story, then yeah, I mean, absolutely, yeah. You know, whatever's best for this project. But I don't think he needs to really come back. But if they do, they do. But just overall on this one, if you haven't already guessed, guys, I am massively super excited for this. I really hope this happens. I really do. So we get on to the last bit of horror movie news that I have. And it is, we are getting the Blob remake. Now, there's no date to when this is coming out. I'm probably going to say this isn't out this year. This is probably a movie for next year, maybe early 2026. But we do have a new writer-director. And the writer-director is David Bruckner. And if you are familiar with that name, it is because he directed The Ritual, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about that movie, so I need to check it out. And he also directed the Hellraiser remake, which I really enjoyed. Like, I really did like it. It surprised me how much I actually really enjoyed that movie. So David Bruckner is set to write and direct the Blob remake, replacing Simon West, who directed Con Air, The Mechanic and Expendables 2. who was previously attached. Sam Jackson was also originally going to star in the film, but that seems unlikely now that we have a new director. Right, okay. So there's a little bit more. There's not much to go on this other than there's a new writer and director, guys. But there's a little bit here saying, when Simon Rest was directing, the synopsis was as follows. When a band of miners uncover something hidden deep beneath the earth, they unwittingly unleashed a hideous creature beyond imagination. Now the townsfolk must fight back before it destroys everything. Now, I'm not too familiar with the Blob. I've never seen the original, which came out in the 50s, or was it the 60s or something like that? And then there was a remake in the 80s, wasn't there? Please tell me I haven't just made that up. I'm sure there's a Blob movie that came out in the 80s, because I remember watching something very, very similar to the Blob, if it wasn't, but I was a kid. It was many, many, many years ago. So I'm not really kind of up on my Blob stuff. Simon West was a strange choice, especially, you know, with Con Air and Expendables 2 and that to direct this. But I think David Bruckner writing this and directing this is a great choice. I'm sure he would do an awesome job because, like I say, I love this Hellraiser movie. I believe he also did a segment in the last 2 VHS movies, didn't he, as well? I can't remember off the top of my head which ones they were, but I'm sure he was involved in the new one. And I think, was he involved in the last one as well before that one? Not 100%, but I love this Hellraiser movie, and if he can bring the same level to the Blob that he did with that, then I'm pretty sure we'll have a good movie here. I'm not too sure whether it's going to play it absolutely very seriously, or there might be a bit of a comedy element to this. I can't remember whether even the remake did it have a little bit of comedy in or anything, or did they play it like, was it straight? Did they play it, you know, completely seriously? I'll have to go back and check it out, actually. I'm sure there is one in the... I'm sure there is. I'm sure. I think I haven't just made that up. But, yeah, that'll be pretty exciting to see what other news we get from that one. So, guys, that's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the news that I give you. If you're excited for any of these projects or any of these stories, please let me know in the comment below. And I'm really sorry if you can just hear that now. What a perfect timing to end this video. Every time. Do you know what? It's been quiet all morning. The moment I go to film anything, someone is drilling. I'll leave this video here. Right, guys, as always, it's always a pleasure, and please take care of yourselves. Goodbye now.